Well, hey everyone, welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. We're going to talk about Crucible of War, First Edition, and Unlimited. We're going to take a look at what all the values are of all the cards and see, is it worth it for you to open up a box? Thank you so much for being around on the channel. Celebrated 5,000 subscribers this week. It was really cool, and I really appreciate you all for being here. So let's talk a little bit about Crucible of War and what we've got going on. If you want access to all this data as a collection tracker, head on over to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG. Get access to that, as well as a Discord server with 3 armor events a week. You also get access to a 10% off discount code over at Midtown Merchant. It's a great way to hang out. It's a great way to support the channel, and it's a great way to kind of see the value of your collection, which gets updated in real time anytime I do one of these videos. So let's hop in and see what's going on in the world of Crucible of War. So box prices are up last week. So 2 weeks ago, box prices were about $6.88. And then last week I did just a regular video, not a market update video, because we're every 2 weeks now in Crucible of War. But boxes actually dropped down for a while to about $600. And if you actually look up sold listings this week, you can see some sold listings that are close to the $600 range. People were like, Louis, where can you buy these $600 boxes? You're making it up. Well, I'm not. You could buy them on eBay was one place. There were some auctions that ended around $600. And then Facebook had a lot of boxes at $600 as well. But boxes have started to trend up in this next current week that we're in right now to just over $700. There's also a few moving on, a few on TCG Player, but really eBay is the way that these things are going. I put them at $730. That's probably on the higher end, but I wanted to stick it to the higher end because you're going to start seeing some big sold listings here in the next couple of slides, and it just kind of feel like that's where the market truly is on it. But you know, we'll see what happens next week. Meanwhile, unlimited boxes sitting about $75. I know that there are some stores. Star City Games was selling them below map at around $67, I think, this past week. So there's definitely some of that still going on. Those big box stores who are allowed to get away with that. But on TCG Player at your local game store, they should be about $76. And distributors have them in. So check in with your local game store to see if they're able to get them. Here's the big news. Arknight Shard. Lots of sold listings this week. Lots of sold listing for the Shard. Interesting market stuff happening. We've seen a lot of interaction on Facebook for the Eye lately. A lot of people asking to buy an Eye of Ophidia. And a lot of interaction on eBay for the Arknight Shard. We had one sold for $3,400 this week. We also had one sell on TCG Player for $3,200 right here. And it was actually a BGS 8.5, which is super interesting. 10 surface, 9.5 centering. So what did the like? I guess you can't see the picture. Like, what did the rest of it must have been just weird. Anyway, it must have been corners, must have been horrible. Anyway, 8.5 shard sold for $3,200, which, you know, people, you know, that makes a raw shard probably more than $3,200. So I'm tracking at $3,400. Also, if you didn't catch that on TCG Player, we're starting to see some buyouts happening of the unlimited fables. They're just all starting to move. I've got this one painted at $265, although there have been sold listings all the way up to $293, $237. The most recent was $265. Current TCG low is $290. So interesting to see all those things starting to move. It makes these market updates a little bit more interesting for you, which is a lot of fun. Let's take a look at First Edition, see what the EV is. Cheyenne, nothing moving with Cheyenne. Typically what happens in the Crucible War market is Cheyenne follows the price of the shard, and sometimes will go over the price of shard. You can see the kind of peak of the Cheyenne price was at $8,500, whereas if we back up to the shard, the peak of the shard price was about $7,500. So there was a time that the Cheyenne was a more valuable card than the shard, but typically it follows suit with the shard. 20 Blade, no new sold listings. $990 was the most recent. Spring Tunic, so this is a tough one. Actually, this price is going to be wrong. I just didn't want to wait. I have to wait 30 minutes for the graphics to update. This is really more like $200. There was a couple of weird things going on with tunics on eBay, but I did some more digging, and the real ones are about $200. So there's just some weird things like this one. You know, that was an unlimited one. This one was the unlimited tunic and the First Edition tunic are becoming so similar in price that it's just interesting. So the real price is about $200 on this. If you pop up and look at sold listings on TCG player, you can see there's one for 200. The unlimited one's sitting at like 185 though, so it's really interesting to see the lack of difference there between first edition and the unlimited one. So ignore that low price. It doesn't really affect the EV that much because it's not really that popular, that prevalent of a card in the set. It's one in every 10 boxes, so it won't really affect the EV that much. Looking at cold foil Majestics then. Very interesting stuff. We're starting to see some higher level sales happen. So let's pop up and show you where's the Crater Fist. We're starting to see some higher level sales. We had a Crater Fist 9.5 Gem Mint sell for $1,250. And then there was also another one that moved on Facebook for about $450 for a raw one. So a lot of interaction moving on some of those cards. I know that card is used in Oldham lists too. So if you didn't watch my deck tech on Oldham, Drew's deck tech, but my video on Oldham, check that out. You're seeing some interaction on the lower end too, though. Like Perch Grapplers has dropped to 23% to 350. These are all starting to average out a little bit at around 470. You can see these. We had an increase 2 weeks ago, a pretty strong increase actually, and so maybe this is a little bit of a retracement back to that. But you can see some interesting gains as well. Like Blood Sheath sold for 575. The Crater Fist, obviously, and especially the higher end. It's curious to see if maybe the higher end market might be coming back a little bit. There's some sold listings that you could make an argument for that if you wanted. Meanwhile, first edition rares, Zephyr Needle selling. This was a weird sell. I just like to report all this stuff for you. This is a weird sell. We'll see where this lands. There's one that sold for 185 for the reverse one. And so like that's where things are interesting. The TCG player low on that currently is 135, so that's kind of where I went with it with the sale of 185. Keep in mind that overseas, people who are not in the United States, they have to buy on eBay, so there is like some sort of market deal going on between TCG player and eBay where you got to kind of weigh both of those things. So it's kind of interesting to weigh that out. But Centauri Sabers at 125. You've got a lot of stuff going on. Aether Conduit sold for 95. It was really low for a while. So, 108 on average. Things are kind of, again, this is flatlining. Everything comes back to this number right here. We are going to, I believe this fully, start to see a healthier reaction to the print run numbers that we saw 6 months ago. We saw these print run numbers and the market just got carried away, and then we kind of crashed because of that. Now that's why I think this number, this line on all these cards, this is not just, think about it, this is all these cards. We're seeing these stable points here all the way around on all the cards in all the sets, and for all of the Flesh and Blood products. So we're starting to see some stability down at that line that happened right before the print run announcement. And I think what we'll start to see is a healthy growth going up from this point, in my opinion. Now, let's talk about things that are crazy. Remorseless. There's a crazy interaction going on with Remorseless. Unlimited edition low is $55 for normal. Now, just take a look at all these sold listings. It's very difficult to figure out what a price point on anything would be. This is LP first edition Rainbow Foil sitting at $55. First edition Rainbow Foil $50. These are getting bought up. I assume they're in some Lexi build. They're just getting bought up like crazy. It's really hard to tell what the market price would be for them. Even eBay, it's even harder. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and paint this as a $65 Rainbow Foil Majestic. Technically, I think it's probably higher, but I don't think there's even any listing. Yeah, there's a listing there. So I guess it's a pretty healthy price then. $69 non-sold, so we'll call it $65. The problem is that the difference, you can't see what I'm talking about. The difference is that this is the current offering. So you got one for $70 there. The problem is that the unlimited market is so heavily high on this card. We'll get to that later. That makes it, judging what the Rainbow Foil first edition would be, different. And then meanwhile, the non-foil first edition is selling for $55. So lots of movement on the card. The price point will certainly have to retrace, I believe. That's kind of how things typically go. So be careful if you are buying those at $55. That would make it one of the more expensive cards here in the set. So, all right, looking Rainbow Foil Rares, Marvin Skies is up a little bit. Nothing really too interesting. Average price was $6. Regular Rares, average price is $1. Both of those are down. commons, everything's down there. And let's get to your estimated value. Okay, so your box prices went up and your EV is going down. Now, why is that? Well, one of the biggest reasons the EV is going down is that the cold foil Majestic is going down, and that takes up a huge portion of the pie for this thing. So definitely an interesting side when the cold foil Majestics are going down, when the sealed boxes are going up. You got to kind of weigh your pros and cons there. I would say, is it worth it to open a box right now? I don't think it's terribly like a terrible idea to open a box. Your average cold foil Majestic was sitting at like $470. So if you do hit a cold foil Majestic, you're sitting pretty good. But is it worth it to open up a box? This is definitely the least risky of the first edition products. Arguably less risky than opening up, arguably less risky than opening up Tales of Aria or Monarch, because of if you're opening up a single box, the spread is so much less. But if you throw the cold foil Majestic in there, you can make an argument against that. So there's arguments to both things. I would not open up a box. If I were you, I would buy singles, because that's always better. So looking at Unlimited then, as you run into this is where the Tunic, you kind of saw it. The Tunic pricing is super interesting. It's super weird. I'm putting it at $185. That paints it almost the same value, $15 difference than the first edition. I don't know what to tell you. That's just kind of where it is right now. Cheyenne, meanwhile, nobody wants the rainbow foil Cheyenne. Again, we talked about Remorseless, way up. Beast Within also way up. You're seeing Massacre, Arc Smash, and Beast Within. All three of those cards are up, which suggests that there's something brewing going on with Brute. I've heard of some things happening with a Reinhardt deck, so maybe that's what it is. But we'll see where that goes in the meta. Unlimited regular Majestics, again, you've got Massacre, Remorseless, Arc Smash, Absorption Domes going up a little bit, Righteous Cleansing going up a little bit, but your big ones are Massacre and Remorseless. So a lot of movement on that. There's just not a ton of Unlimited that has been open on the market yet. I feel like singles have been moving, but the seal product has not. So it's kind of interesting to see all that. Rainbow foil rares is sitting at 58 cents. None of these really matter. Then we get to the EV. We are up 17 to 20% here. So if you take out the commons, you're sitting at $105 if you open up 40 boxes. If you take out the Fable, you're just opening up 10 boxes on average. For Crucible War will get you a legendary, so you're sitting at $99 on average. If you're just going to open up one box, you're really sitting around $87. That does include selling the rares and the commons, the rainbow foil commons. So interesting takes there. Definitely worth it to open up Crucible War Unlimited, especially if you're able to do like a mass box opening of like 100 boxes. You'll be sitting really good in this kind of $105 per box range, if you can get the boxes close. I don't understand why stores are dumping product when they could just open singles. I know it's more work, but the return would be significantly more. So that's it. First edition. This is Unlimited. That's just a typo there in that. That's where we are. Again, if you want access to all this stuff as a collection tracker that updates every time I do a market update video, head on over to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG. Also gets you access to lots of cool things and lots of fun in the Discord server. We're actually going to have a monthly sealed event. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do every first week of the month, we do Classic Constructed on Thursday nights. It's fun. We have a lot of games. There's 3 different armory events that are offered to patrons. It's really cool. Hope you guys are having a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you again next video.